Hey, welcome to the second devlog. I know it's late, my apologies, but I've been very busy, so thank you guys for your patience. Anyways, if you're new here, my name is Sam, and I'm a game developer. At the moment, my friends and I are working on a survival-based 3D game inside of Unity. This devlog, we will be adding map design, updating the graphics, and much more. So last devlog, we tried adding the basic mechanics. So that includes movement, thirst, UI, and fall damage. And I was mainly going to focus on the terrain and map design in this devlog, but we first need to get some more important things in place first. And like I mentioned in the last devlog, I'm not the only one working on this game. We have 3 other friends that will be doing the sound effects and music, the writing and modeling, and then also the programming, which that includes me. I also am apparently doing map design as well now. Firstly, while I was editing my last devlog, William added some touch-ups. He made an animation when you get your hands out, and then also made a drop and pickup system. Cool, you're all caught up now. Next thing I was thinking of adding is some sort of river that will go well with the terrain later on. So I sized up the original thirst bubble from the last devlog and kind of expanded it to function as water. It was looking fine for now, but we still needed to apply force on the X if touched. So I created a quick script and made it so that if the player collides with the river, it will push the rigid body about 50. And boom, that works fine. Alright, now that we got the river out of the way, we just had a couple more things to do. Last thing I wanted to add before moving on to some terrain updates was actually adding some head bobbles. This was actually kind of difficult to add, but it did give a lot more experience with programming and animation. Yeah, so I created a couple different animations for the camera, one for the idle stage, one for the walking, and one for the running. Then I created this script to alternate between all of them depending on what keys you press. Like if you hold down W or A or S or D, it will start the walking animation. And yes, I know this is a long if statement. I really think this actually turned out really well. The walking animation is such an improvement compared to before, and it just looks a lot more like walking. The idle animation turned out great as well. And last thing we did before moving on to the terrain was we'll actually add a hunger bar and redid the health bar, which I kind of thought looked like a flag, but anyways. Alright, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's work on the color and terrain. Now, as you might have noticed, everything is gray and has no color, so I created a color folder and added some materials to the game. Anyways, this is what it looked like after I added some temporary colors. It's a start for sure. But let's move on. Alright, moving on to the terrain, I got rid of all the previous terrain because it looked ugly in my opinion. Then I tried resculpting everything and tried to make a more natural look. And the terrain wasn't bad for the first attempt, and I even tried adding some texture and paths. But it didn't look so appealing. So I feel like we can do a lot better. So I actually looked for a terrain in the asset store and found this plugin, which will hopefully look a lot better concerning the terrain compared to this. Anyways, I imported that into Unity and I tried resculpting more terrain with this new plugin. And round 2 went a lot better. I made this entire chunk of terrain, which took me about an hour, but we can definitely work with this. And for the base terrain, I actually used the river we made previously and put it in the straight middle as well. Then I made some quick touch-ups, such as adding variety for the color and added some more textures for the terrain. This is what it looks like now. And nice! We got like 70% of the terrain done. Now all we need to add now is some grass and trees, and then it'll start looking really good. Just because it's sort of plain right now. So to start on the grass, I found this one grass texture pack that would seem to work for now. One thing great about this texture pack is that it'll only register the grass if you are close to it. So that helps reduce a lot of lag. Obviously, this grass doesn't look super great at the moment, so I did some customization to blend it in with the terrain more. Now all that was left to do was fill the entire map with it, which definitely added a lot of texture to everything. And it does have a little bit of lag after I added it, but overall, I think it's fine for now. And honestly, the grass doesn't look too bad. A bit more tweaking in the future may be needed though. So everything's looking a little less plain than before, but we're still missing some trees. And yet again, I found another great asset from the asset store, just because the original test tree wasn't going to do it for me. So I imported the trees in, and we had a little problem with the texture not rendering originally, but things like that can be usually fixed by reinstalling the asset. And yep, that worked. And it looks great too. Obviously, we need a little bit more trees, but for what it is now, it doesn't look bad. It's honestly starting to look like a survival game. And as cool as this is, we can actually make it look a lot better with a thing called post-processing, which will enhance essentially everything for the game, especially the graphics. So I got started by installing Unity's post-processing system and kind of just played around and tweaked these values for about an hour in hopes of making it look better. And this is actually the before and after of what we could change, which I think looks sweet. This is what it looks like in-game, and looking back on it, I might have added a bit too much post-processing, and all of this definitely isn't final, but I think overall it makes it a lot nicer from what it was. Side note, I also moved the hotbar type inventory out of the screen view to enhance the immersion, but let me know what you guys think of that. Anyways, I think we're making good progress on the game, and we're learning a lot. Let me know if you guys want to see a DEVLOG 3 soon. There's still a lot we need to add, but I definitely think we've improved the graphics and the overall map. And I'm planning on making some upcoming videos in the near future, so stay tuned for that. We have also been working on a multitude of other projects on top of this one, so I'd like to share some of those sometime too. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe or like the video, as it helps a lot. Anyways, I hope to see you in future videos. Thank you so much for watching this development log, and take it easy.